killed a girl.
I'm on painkillers, mother capping you!
For my theme song, my leather black jeans on.
It disguises everyone. You look like a psychopath.
It's a clown, man. People love clowns.
Jesus fucking Christ, stop doing that.
Got a phone.
Give us that back.
No!
Oh,
What the
it's called a cord, dumbass.
Neighbors 2 Sorority Rising is directed by Nicholas Stoller and stars Seth Rogen, Rose Byrne, and Zac Efron. It is a sequel to the 2014, I believe, a 2014 box office success of kind of the same name, just Neighbors. And if you haven't seen the first one, it's pretty much this family moves into a new house with their kid Stella, and they find out that a sorority is moving next door. After they get too rowdy and they call the police after the fraternity specifically asked them not to, it becomes an all-out war between the two. Going into this, since I was not the biggest fan of the first one, I thought it was unintentionally just dirty. I thought it was in the middle of trying to be a serious, funny comedy of just a gross-out, gross comedy. So, watching the trailers for these, it isn't as dirty as the other trailers. You know, minus that the baby has a toy dildo instead of dolls, but, you know. So, walking into the theater, I just full-on expected to just be the exact same formula, just without the boys and with girls. So to start, I'm just going to get out a lot of the bad things out first. The plot, obviously it's not that strong. It's about a sorority that moves in next door, and the neighbors try to stop it. The thing I hated the most was it was all these sexist jokes. It was kind of like at the Oscars and just like making all the the black people jokes. I mean, it was funny at first, but then they just carried it on for the entire thing. People just got annoyed with it. I'm totally against all of those things, but when people make their point, they make their point. A lot of the jokes were a bit childish. They just weren't exactly hitting it for me. They were just Seth Rogen, just crappy comedy. And they totally mix up Rose Byrne's character, because in the first one, she was more of just like this protective wife. Just kind of stays home, watches. But in this one, she was just like, what happened? She's pregnant, she's running around, kicking ass. Just, what are you doing? So when you create a character, you usually don't want to change that up. Another thing when I was walking into the theater was the ratings. It's been bobbing between a 61 and a 58. I've seen it at both. But critics and audiences are actually going back and forth with this one. And currently it is standing at a 61 from critics and a 57 from audiences, which is actually fairly surprising. Because usually with comedies like this, the critics don't like it, but the audience do. It's sort of a Batman versus Superman thing, just opposite. In watching the trailers for this movie, I'm not sure, but I'm damn sure that the entire cast from the first one is back. Even just some of the side characters that were in it they were pretty much just like the fraternity brothers that were in it. They weren't like Zac Efron, Dave Franco crazy, but they were still in the movie. They still had their cameos. Even Dave Franco had just this hilarious bit in the movie, which I really liked. To be true, a lot of the trailers nowadays do it, but they do give away a lot of the funniest jokes. Even if some of them are childish, they're still the funniest jokes. I'm not sure if this makes sense, but I think Neighbors 2 has more PG comedy than probably Angry Birds does. There's a lot of poop jokes, a lot of fart jokes, a lot of puking, a lot of, I don't really like kids movies, so I'm not sure if I've seen a kid puke in a kid's movie, so I don't know. My favorite part of the movie was actually a girl named Nora. She was pretty much the Rebel Wilson of Neighbors in Pitch Perfect. Wait, what? But anyways, I really enjoyed her presence. Most of her jokes were spoiled in the trailers. I think nearly all of them, just because she's very, very funny. My biggest issue with the first one was the ending. It was a bit of a sad ending, but in the worst way. This ending is more of a heartfelt that you don't see coming, and there's actually another twist after that. If you didn't like the first Neighbors movie, you will guarantee not like this one, but you will probably like it more than the first one, because I did. I mean, the team is all back together. Zac Efron's hilarious. Some of the jokes that were in the trailers aren't actually in the movie, which I was surprised with, because usually these comedies throw in every joke that they have, but this one just didn't. It does bring back some funny things like airbags and gross things. There's a lot of gross things. There is a lot. They throw tampons at a house, and they were used. So to keep this one short, even though it's going to be really long, Neighbors 2 is a lot better than the first one, but it just doesn't really do what it wants to do. I mean, the formula is there, but they don't really do a lot with it. I know there was like 6 writers for this movie, and they didn't really push out that much, which I was very disappointed with. But the comedy is there. It has a bit too much PG comedy. But if you enjoyed the first one, you probably won't like it. But if you didn't enjoy the first one, then you will probably like this one a little bit more, or just really enjoy this one, not the first one. I had an immensely fun time with this movie. I was laughing, even though some of the jokes were just laughably bad. It's still a laugh. So I'm going to give Neighbors 2, Sorority Rising, a B.